What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Hardcorn, and we're back today with more action Taimanin. Today, we're going to be looking at a beautiful new character, Miss Francis. She's a long-time waited arrival, one of my favorites from RPGX, and today we're going to look at whether or not she's going to be worth your gems in the first place. Now, for an overview of Francis, she's an assist demon-type character. This will be the one of several this year, and now we can go look at some of her stats. Over here we have her at 81. I'll put the 75 comparison as a picture next to it. In terms of stats, she has 60-48 in HP for 81, 46-28 attack, 44-24 in terms of defense, and 47-60 in terms of criticals. So, taking a look at that, she's going to have about, I'd say, where do I have her in stats? At 81, she is pretty much leaps and bounds above most everybody in the cast. Nagi and her are tied for the same HP, base HP at 81 at least, and Astaroth still remains the highest HP in the game. Her attack is nothing to scoff at either. She continues the trend of these new 4th year characters being some of the strongest basics in the game. She will not beat Spinel anytime soon, but she certainly sits in a league on her own, or similar to someone like Lapis or Lena. So now on to weapons. She has her very own class of weapon. These are clubs. She does not share anybody's weapons. She has her very own. If you're just starting out with her, you're probably going to be using the SRs and the arena weapons. It's going to be that way for an extremely long time to the general pool dilution, and even in rotation gacha, it's going to be pretty rough going. She gets a human damage racial weapon and also a critical boosting weapon, which is what I've been using for most of the entire time. It's just like Oboro, Ingrid, and Micah, how they all have critical damage boosting weapons. It's an easy acquisition and you're going to be using it all the time. However, her gacha weapon, which is Sin Eater, it's a very gimmicky weapon which kind of fits in type of her character. It deals 2.5 times damage at 5/5 on a 5% chance on basic attacks. It is a supporter that also does this as well, so you can just sit there and gamble if you really like that sort of thing. She really doesn't have a lot of good weapons out so far, except for her SRs. So you're honestly rocking the whole arena and SR combo for probably the longest time. So now we're going to take a look at her costumes. She has her default costume. This is her one-day job, the Desire Point costume. Nurse Francis. The Secret Garden costume. The bathrobe. Her rival costume, it's this Aki person from RPGX. I don't remember her name, but who knows, maybe that's a hint of things to come. And her workout outfit. For affinity, at level 5, she gets a 10% item drop rate boost. Level 10, it's another 10% item drop rate boost. At 15, it's 10% more arena coins. And at 20, it's a 5% arena coin boost. This is her signature passive, Tipsy and Intoxicate. When Tipsy reaches 5 stacks, it'll use all of them and activate Intoxicate. It's its own separate buff which overwrites Tipsy itself. It takes 5 to activate in the first place. And then the way you get them is you use Onigoroshi on the activation as a finisher, and you'll get a stack of your cups. The Intoxicate buff itself gives a 30% attack speed buff, doubles your base speed, gives armor itself, and activates auto combat. During auto combat means you can't do anything but watch your move. That means no supporter skills, no dashes, you just have to wait until it's finished. On the progress side of things, Tipsy itself is a stackable buff, and every time you acquire the stack, not on the skill usage, you heal for 2% of the max HP, and then your attack and defense increase by 5% each stack. At 5 points, it'll hit 25%. But then it will instantly erase itself and then give you a 30% damage boost when you activate Intoxicate. This is a very cumbersome buff to use. I understand what they wanted to do in terms of theming with her being a drunken Oni, and this certainly does it. It's getting progressively drunker and drunker until you throw it all up with Intoxicate, sober up, and then do it again. Before we go on to skills, I want to say something about this. Francis herself is a character based around getting off many low cooldown skills to activate Onigoroshi, her finisher, to build Tipsy stacks quickly. Many of these attacks either keep her in long animations or are short and do next to no damage. Our girl here has a healing in the form of a blue passive, and the skill itself, Onigoroshi, which we'll get into. Francis herself has no crowd control in forms of like slow, snares, or any specialty debuffs. She has a lot of speed debuffs, super armor, and suction with grenade and heart catch. Due to her wanting skill spam all day, she really wants 4 skill slots. That way you can have 3 spammable skills and the cups to really go crazy. However, you can still be just fine without 4 skills. Now I'll actually move on to the skills themselves. Here we have Spirit Slay. This is her Taimanin art. It speeds up the entire string while also doing a lot of damage. Her basic attacks are very important. This lets you activate Onigoroshi, her cup skill, much more often. Standard stuff, and you can even go without using this when you hit max skill cooldowns. It finishes her basic attack string in just 3 seconds with this equipped, compared to the regular string, which is just 4 seconds. It may be like a 1 second difference, but it certainly makes a lot of difference when you're trying to get this and keep the stacks going. They last for 10 seconds, but it's still worth trying to keep them up the best you can. Now here's Heart Catch. Keeping on theme, Officer Sugartits here brings out the cuffs and brings enemies to her and then hits a home run for a lot of damage. With correct color setting, this skill is armored and also does a lot of critical damage. It's rough stuff in VR due to the fact that crits being severely hampered, but everywhere else this really does extraordinary things. If it crits, you're going to break armor and probably take out half or just kill them completely. If it doesn't, you're about to take a really huge hit from a lot of people all at once. This is Demon Render. This one is one of her most important skills since it has one of the lowest cooldowns and is one of the most reliable ways to acquire cup stacks. In blue, this skill has a damage scaled heal, which in most cases is really great. However, this skill's low damage makes it so that you're healing off of quantity, not quality. Following up with Onigoroshi is easy, and you can also recover that way too. You need to use this as much as possible. If it's not on cooldown, you're not using it enough. Now onto Grenade. I won't lie, this skill is probably one of my favorite attacks for her. It's fast, hits hard, sucks up enemies, and most importantly, works as an escape. It's short, simple, and oh so spammable. Its set effect is a damage boost, so taking it to VR is very worthwhile as you can use this to clear crowds or line up enemies for big damage. It is not armored, so you have to account for that, but the fact it has AoE and powerful projectiles means you can still be away from danger to recover and reposition. It's very worthwhile to do so, and you pretty much can always take this with everything you do. Now here's Flame Flick. On Extreme Dodge, she gains small bombs that explode on every one of her basic attacks. When you have the set effect, it makes 2 more explosions total from 6 to 8. This does not mean her attacks hit 6 or 8 times, it's 8 total explosions. On each basic attack, it will have the melee hit and the range explosion counterpart. This can be quite devastating if you time it right with hitting Intoxicate. This skill solves a pretty big problem with her in that she has no armor on a lot of things. Red with this set allows her to have armor for 5 seconds so she can actually go nuts with this skill in the first place. Now here's Six Heaven's Demise. This looks a little bit familiar, doesn't it? This skill works exactly the same as Murasaki's skill, Taimanin art. Francis's version comes with a super low cooldown and gives a 10% speed buff in red. Not to mention you can activate Onigoroshi off of this too. This is an improved copy of a previous skill. There's nothing to it. Now Wail and Weep over here is a maddening attack flurry that hits like a bolt of lightning. It's over as soon as it starts. It's great for accumulating stacks at a good pace in the middle of combat. With the full set, it gives armor, so it will complete and give you the chance to get more stacks. One of the best activations too, as you can hold dodge to buffer it and it will activate really quickly. Being armored though means she's going to keep attacking her target while taking damage from third-party people. It's a gamble in high intensity situations. Now this is Raging Shuten. By double dashing, she stops whatever she's doing and swings her bat forward like a lunatic. Another one of her most important skills due to how low of a cooldown it is alongside the buffs it has. It can give damage boost, speed boost, or just be by itself but totally armored. Francis is locked into this skill from the moment it starts, and without armor she's going to get knocked out of it. However, the buff is applied frame 1, so it's not so bad getting kicked out of it. This skill and Demon Render are some of the go-tos for making cup stacks often. Now here's Onigoroshi. This skill itself is the only way for her to acquire stacks of tipsy. This is also her only other healing. You activate this after skill usage or basic attack string due to it being a finisher. Francis stands still, drinks, gets a stack and restores her HP, and throws her cup as a ranged attack. I really wish she would jump backwards and throw the cup, because more often than not she's taken hits during this entire animation and renders the healing useless. The heal itself is stated on the buff, 2% max HP on stack acquisition. It may be modified by max HP, but most of the time it really just doesn't feel enough. And finally, Ricochet Frenzy. Once again, this is another counterattack skill, but this one has a fast hitting range property. It's a quick way to activate cups and provide speed or defense or just flat out DPS. A niche setup is to use this skill along with the green Eleanor supporter to apply wet and also get super armor. This is a forgettable skill, and sadly one of the few times she actually uses the Tommy gun.
フランシスとは私のことだ。
Well, that was nice. Let's conclude on her. Frances is a great looking model, but you're going to be caught in buyer's remorse with how she plays. I hate that. It's because this is a character I actually wanted in the game, and she plays like we're straight out of year 2. Like before everybody got renewals and actually became real solid all around characters. Who knows, maybe she's got Murasaki syndrome and she'll be great and overtuned and broken. Like you can make full assault characters or gimmicky ones and they play really well. Noah is like the poster child of this. She's got weird attacks and the size gimmick, but was solved through armoring her attacks by default and giving her some speed. Frances wants to be a full assault gimmick, but doesn't do it that well. Frances also doesn't have crowd control tools like slows, snares, or specialty debuffs. She is all about buffing herself. A very selfish attacker which fits thematically with Onis. In solo content, she struggles if they are not instantly dead, as getting overwhelmed is her specialty and she can't suck her way out of it. In groups though, she finds herself as the hardcore DPS option. Her problems lacking crowd control can be solved through people like Oboro or Eleanor, and her weak healing can be resolved with Lapis and Shizuru. As a DPS though, she has to compete with the likes of Spinel, Rin, Nagi, and Astaroth. All those previously mentioned and others can do damage much better and safer, and by god they can even heal easier too. Spinel even does that stack gimmick better by buffing the entire team. A question I get asked a lot is after I get these starting characters, I want to get this character or whatever. For those who want Frances, you're better off picking the horny option that is actually really good with characters like Rin, Lapis, Eleanor, and certainly Phantasma. The list goes on. Even for newer players, I can't recommend Frances because her weapons are hard to get through natural pulls. However, if you get her crit damage SR, it will keep you afloat for a long time. The best way to play Frances in this game is to thirst post about her costumes and in-game animations, as it's a better experience than what she actually is. Sexy, but clunky. Now, is she worth your gems? Honestly, I wouldn't get her until you've got a solid VR team behind you, because she brings nothing to the table besides getting bent over it. You'll need a pretty strong supporter lineup too to get the best out of her, especially if you're playing Critical Annihilation. She is real hot though, so if she gets you up hot and heavy and everything, buddy, don't say I didn't warn you. Thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.